And welcome
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
to another Game Chaps Chat. This time we are going to be talking about Dark Souls. Undoubtedly one of our favourite games. I think that's a fair statement. Would you agree?
It's well
Yes,
documented, I believe.
I have less experience with said game, but I do really like it.
Well, you did play it, so...
Well, yes, and I've started a new playthrough and I've got the bug again, so I know it's good.
And we've also been playing Dark Souls 2. So the original Dark Souls has been remastered and is now out on the Switch, which very much excites me, the idea of throwing an expensive handheld console around the room when I get frustrated or on a bus. But yeah, we thought we would have a chat about Dark Souls, and more specifically, Dark Souls bosses. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that, the good, that is the boss that for you is the best example of what it is to play Dark Souls. You know, it might be difficult, it might be frustrating, smash you into the ground 100 times, but it's tough, but it's fair. You know, you slowly learn the patterns, you slowly get better at the dodges, and the moment you kill that boss, the elation is I don't know many other games that kind of give you that kind of level of reward and feeling.
I've never experienced that before. It's like a drug.
Yeah, and at that point you go,
I thought you
I'm
were just
hooked.
being really self-deprecating. I thought you were just... No, I've never
I've never
experienced that.
experienced that. Don't
I'm
know what
a
it's like to be a
cold-hearted
boss.
killer.
So yeah, I'm thinking of the good one as being the boss that gives you the most satisfaction.
Yes.
Okay.
Each to their own.
Yeah.
The bad, however, is just it's the one that just smashes you into the ground every time. Doesn't matter what the build is, doesn't matter how many times you've played it. It's the one you most struggled with. It is your kryptonite. It is just frustrating, but not in a good way. It is just hard, and you have to pull every trick out of the book to get past it.
All of the tricks out of the book.
Even if you have to cheese it. So
All my tricks.
that's the bad. And then, the ugly.
Oh boy.
That's the one that really, it shouldn't really be there. It's not bad. It's beyond that. It's, either ridiculously easy, or it's just broken, or it just doesn't feel right compared to, the Hall of Fame of some of these other boss fights. And you're kind of like, and I know we're only talking about Dark Souls, but every Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne game has these bosses.
Yeah.
From Software aren't perfect, and I would like to know what everyone think is the one that from the original Dark Souls shouldn't. Let's just get rid of that, and it'll be a better game for it. So we'll do that in that order. Let's start with the good. McGraw, what is your good boss?
My good boss. My good boss.
My good
It's
boss.
so nice
My
to
good
see
boss.
you, my good boss. My good boss is a boss that I struggled with for a very long time.
Very good.
It took me a long time to do it. The first time. The next time that I came back to it, I think I may have died once or maybe twice, and I was like, oh no. Once you have got those timings down, it is so perfect. My boss is Artorias of the Abyss,
Very good.
the second boss in the DLC. Bindi has not played the DLC.
No idea who that is.
There will be footage on screen now of.
Well, no,
of
I know
this
who that
boss.
is, but I don't
Yeah.
know the boss.
Apologies that...
No,
it's-
that's fine. I was just like, at first for a second I was like, I didn't do that one.
Who that guy?
Am I supposed to know who that is?
You're not a boss that I did.
No, I know who he is, but you know what I mean.
I'm in complete agreement, and
Yeah.
Artorias is my good boss. I've only played him recently, because when I first played Dark Souls, it was completely offline on the Xbox 360, and I did not have the DLC. So I've played a lot of the other bosses many times, but having recently replayed it, remastered, I was like, ooh, I've never done the DLC before. It was a nice kind of build up to this kind of test to show off everything I've learnt about bosses up until that point, and still struggled and still had to kind of get back to grips with kind of just telegraphing moves and properly having to learn how to beat it. But having the Dark Souls tools, if you were, to be able to pick that up and eventually overcome it. Yeah. And I felt really good doing it. It's like, oh boy, I haven't had this feeling in a while, and this is why, because it was fresh and new, but a peak of everything I like from Dark Souls.
Yeah, Artorias is a good fight in that it's a really tough one that still feels fair and and also
tragic as well. I love the lore of it.
Yeah, they build that character up quite a lot, and it's one of those ones which feels very cool when you're doing it too. Yeah. It feels like a proper duel.
It's a proper one-on-one duel. Yeah,
it's when there's nothing cheap about it. It's just for your visual picture. It's in a big circular boss arena. There's no bullshit
like a
around
Colosseum
in there.
I'm pretty sure I've seen. I think
you must have seen.
because I have an image of my head and it's that. So I think I've seen other people playing it.
It's very
good arena. That's actually quite important.
Yeah, it's a really good arena, and it's got enough space in it that you can kind of move around. But he has the ability to punish if you get greedy. He has the ability to punish if you run away. The only thing that you've got to be able to stand your ground, be aggressive but not too aggressive. Use those points. Sometimes if you've dodged an attack, you've got to weigh up the choice of, do I heal now or do I go in for another attack? So you've really got to be like,
a very archetypal Dark Souls thing, getting that balance.
It's not run away, chug an Estus, and then run back.
And finish off.
It's very much you gotta choose. Do you attack? Do you heal yourself? Do you think that you could end it this go, or do you need to go like, I'm gonna take a second because he might hit me. I'm gonna retry myself. Yeah. He's got the power ups, but also you can interrupt them if you're quick enough with them.
He's a cool guy.
It's a cool guy.
I love his armor set.
Cool guy. Yeah.
When you kill him, you get it. So what's mine is yours.
Yeah.
One of
what's
the
yours is mine.
Looking armors in the
More
series
importantly.
by quite a way.
Yeah. I'd quite like to do an Artorias build, like using his armor and his sword.
And go through and vanquish everybody.
It's just difficult though, isn't it? Because you have to get all the way to him before you can then do that.
New Game Plus.
True.
But yeah, well, that is equally my good one.
There we go.
You're in good company.
Hello.
Bindi, please tell me your...
Can we do Robin first? Robin first.
Do Robin first. Am I right, ladies?
They always do.
I'm still kind of thinking about it, to be honest. So,
Robin, give a one-word answer.
No.
I can't, because the boss set has more than one name. Ornstein and Smough.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a classic for a reason. It's the one that everybody talked about and still does. And it's not the only boss in the series that you fight where you have more than one boss to deal with, but it's by far the most successful.
The balance is ridiculously spot on.
There's some of the other ones have felt unfair at times, but this one, and part of it is because of the arena, and because of their very different strengths and weaknesses. It feels like it challenges you in a way that few of the other bosses do in the first game, in terms of it just being really a test of space management.
Yeah.
What you
Spatial
said about
awareness, definitely working out who is where at what time, and down to some like where the pillars are, which ones have been smashed.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to add, is that it's an arena. The fight is, half of it is managing that arena and knowing that you can park yourself like on the opposite side of a pillar to Smough and kind of try and deal with Ornstein. Like I don't think I've ever done. No, I have, but I very rarely do super Ornstein. I nearly always just do super Smough because it's much easier to. That's another good thing about that.
Ornstein.
It's easier to bait Ornstein to that side of you and hide from Smough, and then let him be the big one.
Mm.
But again, there's variety in that boss. You can choose to do
Yeah, I
Ornstein first or
appreciate
Smough
the
first.
fact that you have that option available to you, and that it's not, because it could very easily have just been a very long version of working out how to deal with two guys at once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just has
the
this
fact that it's more
halfway
than that
point
is
that
good.
just goes, right, and now you're going to do this. You're like, oh man, I thought I'd done it.
Yeah.
You bastards.
Yeah,
And
it's
only
good.
having one point where it's like, you bastards, because there are some bosses that they do later on in the
Multiple.
game. The one that came to my mind immediately was is he called Yoel? The end of the DLC in the snowy DLC in Dark Souls 3.
Oh god, I can't remember.
There's the guy. He's got a big cauldron full of orange
Oh, yeah.
goop. But that one has 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that feels too much.
Mm-hmm.
That feel like you get their health down once and you're like, oh, hooray. And then they're like, and they do it again. And you're like, okay, Ornstein and Smough style. Do it again. And then do it. And then it's like, third time you're like, fuck off now.
I think also Ornstein and Smough is like, it's again with the Artorias thing, it's cool characters. Like, it's the first time you're introduced to the Knights of Gwyn being a thing, and Ornstein looks awesome.
Yeah.
And
What-
then Smough is just like, what is that?
Big fatty.
Weird droopy boobs.
So it's really
guy.
visually fun too.
Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Bindi, but would you say, or do I remember you saying, when you played Dark Souls, that was the moment once you'd done that boss, you know, it's a big turning point. Like,
Well, what
I can do this game.
I've
get this
written
game.
myself some notes, and the first thing I came up with was Ornstein and Smough as being my good, because I found it really hard, and it took me a long time, but it didn't. Some of the other bosses, I remember just getting really like frustrated in a different kind of way. I got frustrated that I
In a good
was
way.
making mistakes with
Yeah.
Ornstein and Smough. And I will always struggle when there is more than one thing going on, which often
It's
there
tough.
is in Dark Souls. But I think like part of what's so good about Ornstein and Smough for me is the whole like dynamic between them, and the fact that Smough is so disturbing
Yeah.
and creepy, and Ornstein is really super cool.
Yeah.
When he does that really horrible laugh. He's like
I'm going to
flobbly
eat your
wobble
face.
laugh.
But yeah, no, when I it was because it was after a gap. I'd done loads of it. I just thought I need to not do this now, and then I came back the next day and did it first time.
Yeah.
And you remember you were there, weren't you? And I was just like, I was going.
I'm shaking.
I
Yeah.
literally was shaking. Like I can't believe. Oh my god, I did it. That was the best one for me.
But honourable mention.
Yes, I did, because we've talked so much about Ornstein and Smough. I feel like we don't need to talk about that so much. And I feel like this might be a controversial one, because I think I've heard other people talking about how they find this one a bit disappointing. But actually, I really enjoyed the progress I made with Gwyn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I found it actually much harder than I think a lot of other people find him. And I ended up making right at the end of the game. I feel like actually making the biggest progression right at the end.
Right. Sure.
And like, you know, I was going for parries and stuff, and I would never do that in the game. And I was getting them, and I was like, I feel so powerful.
Yeah.
Back down, Lord of Cinder.
Yeah, and it did take me quite a few turns to do, but I really enjoyed it felt pretty epic.
Yeah.
Even though he's just like a normal looking guy, I think that's part of the reason it feels so like.
No,
I don't know, because you fought so many like things like Ornstein's were massive monster like things, and it's just like a man, but it feels more
With a giant flame
intimidating.
sword. Yeah.
Gwyn's got a nice boss arena as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
And
Good
so
music.
nice music,
Yeah.
nice pillar. Because a lot of them have got the
Romantic.
good bosses have got good boss music. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't think that to me, Artorias doesn't have any, but I could be totally wrong.
It must do.
It does,
wouldn't be
it does.
silent.
No.
I don't remember it. So
I think-
I think Gwyn has the most recognisable
Yeah.
theme. because it feels very different to the rest as well, like the atmosphere.
It's very tragic. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the fact that it was like end game stuff, it
Sure.
intensified that for me a lot because I was so
it's a
determined
journey.
to
It's a journey up
finish
until
the
that point
game.
again. Like how
Yeah.
I felt with Artorias getting to that point for me, but not doing that the first time I played, it is that final test of there's nothing more we can teach you. Either you can beat this guy, or you still got to practice.
And I really like the point you made about the fact that like you hadn't been parrying at all up until the end, and that ended up being the thing that helped you beat him. Like I see that as a really good sign of an end boss, where it's like there's this one quite major mechanic that you've never had to use before that becomes
I used
like
it occasionally,
your
but
strongest tool in that last fight.
I think that's because, and I still struggle with Dark Souls in general, because I struggle with being just standing there and waiting for the right timing because I freak out.
Yeah.
So I find myself rolling too early constantly because
Panic,
because I'm like, I'm gonna die. Roll away, and then that's what makes you die. It's just waiting and just standing there.
Yeah.
It's scary, especially with a parry when you're like, oh my god, timing.
You did it.
Timing's got to be perfect.
That's a good choice.
These are all really, really good bosses.
Can I just on the last thing on Gwyn?
Mm-hmm.
I think that with the parrying thing, it's a mechanic that you use throughout the game, but at no point do you have to use it.
Yeah.
No. You can block, you can dodge, you can cheese from afar. But here's a boss where if you got to grips with this mechanic, you can really go to town. And
I was really hoping you'd do a little rhyme there. The beginning felt like it was going into some kind of
so as I say,
you can block, you can dodge, you can cheese from afar.
And once upon a time, I drove my car.
Yeah.
I was hoping it'd be related to Dark Souls, but never.
Well, you didn't stipulate
You didn't
that.
specify.
Fix it in post.
Okay, Jamie, come up with a better rhyme than that.
Oh yeah, this is Dark Souls rap. Gonna get my Estes on. You can block, you can dodge, you can cheese from afar. The Gwyn's a little bitch, so I killed him with my scimitar. Ooh, Priscilla, now she's a babe. I took her on a date and I whipped out my glaive. Hey, I'm seen, Smo, and man, there's two. I heard you guys are the fuck all of you. For all them haters, just get good. This is Dark Souls, baby. Rap it like we should. Hey, Smo. Hey, Smo. Hey, Smo. Say what? This is the Dark Souls rap.
Well, thank you guys. Those were all excellent choices of good bosses.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome.
However, I'm going to have to lower the tone now
Oh,
and bring up the
shit.
frustration, the anger.
I'm interested in
Those
this
bad
one.
boys.
I'm interested to hear this one.
Who are them bad bosses who just grind your gears and they get up all in your face. Robin, you're looking pensive. You're looking
Yeah,
full of
fruity.
rage.
I'm a bit conflicted over this one.
Because I didn't find any of them hard.
Because
I really wish you said that. I'm just good.
Because they're all just really easy
Sorry,
to me.
Robin, sorry, continue.
Sorry.
well, no, there is.
Is that true?
No, not at all.
He wouldn't be human if that was true.
Maybe he's not.
It's just like the for most of the game, the difficulty level for most of the bosses is more or less the same for me now. Like I can have difficulties with any of them on any given day.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
I think that's a real strength of
Yeah.
the bosses of Dark Souls, is that some days, some builds, it's just harder than others.
Definitely.
Well, this is why I'm really interested to do a proper second playthrough, because there's a couple of the bosses on this list I did first time, and I think that's not because I'm good at them.
Yeah.
I think
No,
that was
you can
luck.
just have a good run.
I just had a good,
So my but okay, prepared to be blown away.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Though I've never actually beaten Manus, and Manus is fucking hard.
Manus is
to the point
hard.
where he was almost in consideration for the ugly boss for me, because there's like the thing of the talisman you can use to like deflect his attacks and things. Like that felt too many like things going on for me. But I think he is a fair boss. Like you can read his attacks and stuff. He's just fucking
insanely
on.
difficult, yeah.
He's relentless, and I think that's the thing. And I was sort of between Manus and Calamite.
I do hate Calamite.
The Black Dragon of the DLC. So there's the
I have no-
three bosses in the DLC. All of
They're
them are
all
hard.
stupidly hard.
Well, that's
Artorias
why
is
they're in
good
the
hard.
DLC, you know.
The others are really hard and like almost unfair, I would say. Like Calamite's more spammy than Manus is.
Yeah.
Manus
Manus
is just
Well,
absolutely
he's
relentless.
a bad boss.
I have agreed with you. I put Manus as my bad boss. I have a real now like regret about Manus because I did a playthrough with Manus. Did a playthrough, and I got to the stage where I was like I could get him down to 2 more hits and I'd get him.
Yeah.
But I would have used up all my Estus and he'd eventually get me. But I had timed it because there's all of his weird dark magic attacks.
Yeah.
There is a way to do it, and you can do it without the silver pendant.
Yeah.
For the most part. The one that's really tricky is there's the one which it blasts inwards towards him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get then right up, like in his junk, it doesn't hit you.
Right.
And so there are safe zones that you can get to, and through doing that, I got so close to it. And then one day I was like, I picked up that save file again. I was like, okay, yep, I'll have a go at this. I was in human form. I saw a summon sign outside. I was like, yeah, while I'm getting used to it again, just I'll summon it. I'll summon it. And then the guy was really good, and I did it first time, and there was a real empty feeling inside me because I was like, that.
I did it, but at what
The
cost?
reward of doing, either for both the bads or the good bosses, if you know you do them on your own and you've worked at it, like that reward is completely deflated if you do have the extra summon thing. Because if you think how difficult Unseen and Smoke is from your perspective, then reversed on its head when there's 2 human players against a single computer, you should be able to dick them over.
It's the reason I'm always conflicted about NPC summons.
Gang Squad.
Because like I always want to like progress NPC storylines and stuff, but I don't really want to summon them for boss fights because I prefer to do it on my own.
Yeah.
I love
But
doing
yeah,
it on my
I suppose
own.
that's something you do on a second playthrough, maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
But Manus is fucking hard. Like really, like
the like magic attacks he does as well. Like you can read them, but they're so fast that I really struggled with those.
And his boss area is it's where Artorias it's same sort of it's big open circular thing. There's an edge that you can fall off, which is a little bit annoying, but the pillars that are there are just like they're just in annoying places, and because he's so big and it's so black around, the camera just doesn't like. There's a lot of little things that you individually, if it was just one of them, you could control it and it would be okay. But because it's like you're trying to spin loads of plates at once, and read these fast attacks, it feels just like frustrating.
What did you find frustrating, Bindi?
Mine are going to seem really silly to you.
There's
Based on
silly
what you're
answers.
saying.
Just ignore the fact that Robin's amazing.
There's
all
no
these
silly
bosses.
answers here.
Okay, well, I've written 2.
We can talk about both.
The thing is, then I don't think either of them are bad, and I don't think either of them should be particularly hard. It's just that I really struggled with them. Nito is probably the worst one for me. I really didn't like that boss.
Yeah.
Because I think, to be honest, it's not so much about the well, it is. It's all the fucking skeletons. I'm like, fuck off. Just leave me alone. I can't think. I can't do anything. But it's also the fact that run to that boss, I hate it. I hated it every single time. I was like, great, I have to do that run back, and I don't want to. So it made me. So every time, by the time I got there, I was already really frustrated and annoyed. So it always went into it being like.
I think that's the run up to the boss also plays into its difficulty.
Yeah.
Once with bonfires just outside, you'll be like, well, I can just, keep on going and doing it, but.
The thing is with that one is that I came out of it not feeling like, good, I really learned. No, I just felt like I just persevered until I did it. I don't think I learned how best to do it. I think I just kept going until I did,
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to try that one again.
Yeah.
I think Nito, if you've got like I did it before where I made a Stora's straight sword up to as high as I could do it, and so I had a divine weapon for it, because then you can kill the skeletons just and they're permadead.
That makes a big difference.
As soon as you've got rid of those little shitty bastards, he's not too bad, Nito himself.
Any boss which has like ads in has just like little bullshit guys just there to get in the way.
I wouldn't say it's enough to make him an ugly
exactly
ugly boss, but you're also a bit like, what we're saying about the good bosses we have thought, it's a bit more like one-on-one, or it's focused on the combat. You're kind of like,
I just didn't enjoy that one.
If they took away the skeletons and maybe like worked on his movesets, maybe it could have been
when it feels like
I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very cool guy.
I just didn't like his skeleton friends.
Yeah, that's fair. Anything where it feels like you're fighting to get to the boss rather than fighting.
That's always annoying. The other one I've written down is, and I'm sure everyone's going to think this is hilarious, but the gargoyles. I hate them.
They're I struggle with the gargoyles more often than I care to admit.
I just feel like
I think
I'm
that's
just
the first
constantly
true
on fire.
Dark Souls test.
Yeah.
Not the Asylum Demon, not the Taurus
No, I
Demon.
agree with that, definitely.
At that point, you're kind of like, oh, maybe I'm getting this. And you're like, okay, wow, no, this is what actual...
But again, it's the multitasking that is having more than one. But that's the case with Ornstein's Mode, but for some reason, I feel more able to deal with that, or I got more out of that just the gargoyles are just really like...
It's their timings as well, because you've got...
I feel like I can't read them.
You start off with just one of them, and then suddenly it's like, oh, another one. Oh fuck! Now I've got to deal with this as well. And so if you do it
trying
quickly
not to fall off the roof.
Yeah.
That's the first, kind of. Well, I guess you have a little bit with the Taurus Demon in terms of you can get knocked off on the sides.
Yeah.
Not to the
when
same
it gets
degree.
proper frantic with two gargoyles, you're just rolling around. It's like, oh nope, I'm off the roof now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Capra Demon has become sort of notorious as being one of the early game bosses that puts a lot of people off for good.
That's
but
so
I feel
to
like
me.
the gargoyles are just as much of a challenge.
I did Capra Demon first time, but I had seen you playing it. So I don't remember watching you do the gargoyles, but I remember watching you do Capra Demon, so I felt like I went in with a little bit
You've got the using the stairs trick you can do. There's no shortcuts with gargoyles, really.
No. Well, speaking of Capra Demon... no, it's not my bad. It almost did, but that was the one that then caused my confusion about the distinction between good and... between the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
I think if I was to put it on the list, I'd actually have to put it into ugly, because you meet the Capra Demon later on and you're like, this guy is just piss easy.
Yeah.
It's the arena and it's the gank and it's this is just unnecessarily twatty.
And the dogs.
I want to quote
I think that's the gank.
Robin Diamond from our playthrough.
Huh?
Quotes you.
Sorry, I thought you were calling me the bad boss.
No.
My bad boss is Robin Diamond.
My quote
Never
from
lets me
you
leave on
from
time.
our video of Dark Souls, the camera is the true boss.
Yeah,
And
that bit of tree that gets in your
bit
face.
of it's the small room, it's the trees, it's the dogs, it's...
So is the Capra Demon your ugly?
No. I've got two uglies that I've written down, and neither of them
speak about.
But no. Sorry, I wasn't moving on. I was just saying I've got two uglies, and neither of them are Capra Demon. I think Capra Demon can be fair.
Yeah,
but it's a bit janky. Sorry, Jamie. You do your bad.
My bad boss.
Ugly boss.
Like you were saying, Bindi, and I think this is the point of the the question is it's personal to the person playing in their playstyle. Slightly less so on replays for me, but I really struggled with Four Kings.
Oh, yeah.
That was-
I thought about Four
That
Kings.
was a point when I was like, I don't know what to do here because I've done all the other sections. You know, at that point I'd done Seath, I'd done the other kind of Lord Souls. I was like, I'm really struggling here, and I'm at a level where I'm having to grind to get extra stat boosts to force different strategies because basically my build at that time is just not. It's too middle of the road. I think I was doing some like strength faith build and it was this kind of like miracle wielding kind of like paladin, but I just wasn't hitting him hard enough before the other ones turned up, or I didn't have enough poise to take the hits, or I couldn't cheese him with magic. I've since learnt, and doing it on on my remastered playthrough, I didn't cheat as such, but at this point I was like, I'm just going to wear Havel's set and just cheese him because I've learnt last time, but it took me a long time in my first playthrough to really get to that point, and it'd gone beyond learning how to do Ornstein and Smo and all these other bosses. Just like it started to kind of put me off. I was like, but I know I'm so close to endgame and I'm still struggling with this. It was just my kryptonite. There's definitely harder bosses for sure, but that lasting feeling of you've got a place in my Dark Souls history now because of the
that
one's
difficulty
agree.
you caused me.
That one's got a fucking dumb run back as well. Like no matter which way you go,
Doesn't matter which bonfire.
it's tricky to get back to.
That's one of the toughest boss runs, isn't it?
I've since seen a strat for getting that. I think it's the one that Hob does for his no hit run, where you can do a jump from near where you find the Firekeeper's soul that gets you
that's
very
what I
close
do.
to it.
Yeah.
But I was going either from the bonfire near the Great Knight in the Darkroot Basin and running across the Drake Bridge, or you're running or
you're going from Firelink Shrine.
Or you're going from Firelink Shrine, and that's it's long.
That is
and
long.
the boss arena is, again, so we're talking about run back long. Boss arena, it's got that weird. I know it's kind of going for this is the abyss. It's all black. You can't quite see how far things are, but like I can't ever tell how far away things are from me because
that is a bit tricky.
You're up to their waists as well, so you kind of don't know where the floor is.
Yeah.
Or where they're kind of going to spawn, which is difficult to try and get ahead and get them close enough to.
Yeah.
Like, time is of the essence in that fight.
It's silly that it's it's a DPS race. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just how fast can you hit them to make sure that you kill one before the next one comes.
Yeah,
and if you can hit it hard enough, you can kill them in 3 kings.
It's a boss that I considered as being one of the ugly ones, just because the difficulty
That's what I thought
feels.
of.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
The difficulty feels
Nobody
quite
likes him.
artificial in that one, just because it's. Yeah, it's
Well,
not the
let's
fighting
merge
that is
it into
the
that
difficult thing.
discussion then. So it wasn't an ugly boss for me because, I realised in different other play styles, or you can read it and have a much easier time. Other things, it was just difficult for the specific build I had.
Yeah.
But thinking I was in control of that build and I'm having to unnecessarily change it to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, is that enough of a reason to go? Actually, it's an ugly boss, because a good or bad boss should be beatable with whatever strategy you have to a certain extent. Obviously some will be easier, but is a bad boss one that is like, okay, this actually makes it a bit more broken if it's you have to have a very particular niche, and that's not Dark Souls. The whole thing of Dark Souls is you can approach a boss multiple ways.
Everyone can do it.
Is that your reasoning for an ugly boss?
I mean, because I've only played it through once, again, I think that my experience is very limited, because I don't know what, it might have just been on that particular. I think I might have beat it in like 3 or something like that. But I didn't find it that hard. I just didn't get it. Like, I just was kind of like, okay. I don't know. I came out of it feeling like I didn't gain anything.
Like
Did
you're
you feel
throwing
it
things,
fitted?
that's it.
Yeah.
It fitted in the moment that it was of, okay, we've got, we've had a linear path up until this point. Now we've got this split to go off into these different routes. You've got the build up in the catacombs and getting down to kind of like Nito and things like that. Did you feel it still had its place for what you had to do, or did you feel it was a bit vacuous and kind of like, what's the point of this one?
That's what I felt.
Yeah, because with Seath, there's like, you've got the whole, like, you go through his archives, then you meet him, then he kills you, then you go to his
escape.
like you've got that. There's a whole like story there, and the catacombs, though shitty as they are, going through the shitty catacombs in the Tomb of the Giants, you feel like you're getting down closer and closer to death. It feels right.
Yes.
The Four Kings, like,
I don't remember how you get there.
it's there's the
Giant well.
Isn't there like a whole story of New Londo that got cut from the game? It feels like I know that there's more stuff about New Londo that's in some of the cut content, and it feels like some of the explanation of the Four Kings and like, because it's the cursed city of New Londo, and these were the cursed king. Like, that stuff feels like it should be. It feels like it doesn't feel like there's as much of a story progression to me.
I feel differently about New Londo. I quite like it as an area. I know it's a long boss run because of having to go all the way down from Firelink, but the actual run through the New Londo ruins, I quite like once you get past the first stage of lowering the water level, because that became my favourite like farming route, because I quite like fighting the dark wraiths.
They're cool.
And still, like, it feels good because they are quite risky. Like, even when you know exactly how to fight them, if they do get you, they can
they're
really
a good
fuck
enemy.
you up. I think the sort of setting, I kind of like it. I like the feel of it. But then, the boss feels weirdly separated from.
I completely agree with everything that you say about New Londo. It's got a nice vibe to it. Yeah, there just seems to be this disconnect between the vibe of the area and the vibe of the boss. Whereas with the other two there, I feel like the vibe of the area gels with the boss.
Yeah.
So who else was your other ugly boss then?
Well, I might.
The Four Kings are actually quite pretty.
I want to hear what you move on, and I might kind of because I'm wondering if maybe some other people have picked the ones I picked, and I can kind of just add rather than.
Well, what McGraw was saying about the vacuous nature of how Four Kings feels. There's an element of if content was cut and certain things have been rushed. That to me is definitely a trait of an ugly boss. It doesn't have a place, or it could be better, or whatever. And just for me, the one that plays into the area thing, but ticks all the same boxes for why Four Kings would be ugly. It's the Bed of Chaos. I just do not like it as a boss. I know I like the puzzle boss ideas that they have. I like that it's not always a straight one-on-one fight, or compared to how most of the other bosses are. There's something a bit different here. They're a little bit Marmite, like everyone makes fun of other puzzle bosses in the other games, but for me the Bed of Chaos is just broken. It's just stupid. There's no skill to it. Even if you know which sections are going to break and the pattern of the sweeping stuff, you will still get bullshit knocked off for ridiculous hitboxes. The run is obnoxiously stupid as well. Again, you've got pretty far bonfires to go for that. And also its kind of place as the four lords, great souls for the Lord Vessel. Again, it doesn't stack up to what we're saying, everything we enjoyed about Seath. And it's just like, this boss is just stupid.
Yeah.
cut it. No, nobody likes doing this boss. I don't feel like I gain anything. I don't learn how to become a better player or whatever.
Yeah.
I just
No,
I
I'd agree with that,
I
to
have
be
to do it to get to the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not optional. Bullshit.
I think one of the reasons that I feel worst about the Bed of Chaos and Izalith in general
Yeah.
is because I really like so much of it in theory. Like I love the architecture of Izalith. I quite like the idea of it if there being not much to it, because it's like a place that's been devastated for so long. That it's just kind of a big open, relatively empty space apart from a few demons and things, and the lava and stuff.
And
Although, as
dinosaur butts.
annoying as that is, though, I could do without the dinosaur butts.
They feel very copy and pasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, even other sections like here, we'll just put like 7 Taurus demons,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
10 Capras as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys were really struggling
But
at this
it's-
point, which I know everybody says.
It's
but-
one of those. Is the area, like, as a result of that, because clearly they had some cool ideas and stuff, but it feels so unfinished. I feel like it's a totally undeveloped idea. And the Bed of Chaos, I think I like in theory, because I do really like puzzle bosses.
Yes.
But it's exactly that thing you were saying of it just being so totally
It's a broken
trial
puzzle boss.
and error, and also really inconsistent as to
Yeah.
whether or not something you try is going to
Yeah,
work.
even if you know the patterns, that I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I've ever done Bed of Chaos first time.
No,
No.
never.
And that's, even if I've like reminded myself of it or I've gone through a second playthrough of something, I know what's going to happen, I know where it's going to break and stuff. No, something will still go wrong, and I feel that's not me making mistakes, that's just the game unfairly fairly punishing you, which
I'll give credit where credit's due to the game, but also it shows its kind of broken nature.
yeah.
That you do one of them, you die, you come back, that one's still done.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there's at least
So-
enough permanent progression that you don't have to go through.
There is permanent progression, but also then, like,
That's why
a save point in a boss kind of feels a bit like it's...
If you have to do that, then something's not
It's
right.
Yeah.
it's like being able to go and start the Ornstein Smoke fight halfway through.
Yeah.
You go back in and it's just the super one. But I feel it's a fairer point to be able to get to that in that fight, and you don't begrudge having to do the first part again, because if you've learned it and you get it down to a T, you're like, okay, this is just kind of the warm up.
It does just feel like a concession to how bullshit the
Yeah.
boss is, though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Can I jump on the back of this now? For my
Absolutely.
next
Where
one?
it's getting ugly now. It's getting,
Okay, so I mean,
It's getting real ugly.
I've got 2 things in my ugly pile, both of which hang around in Izalith.
and they stink.
So the first one, which is the first one that came to my mind, as just a dumb broken boss. It's fucking centipede demon.
Yeah.
It can get fucked. It's the most.
That's one of the ones I've written down.
I want to feel the
yeah.
anger. Come on,
It's-
people,
it's-
vent.
It's dumb. Like you're in that, like you've got this huge area that's actually then, even once you've killed it and got the charred orange ring, it's pointless it
Yeah.
being that big, because you can't run around in it. You could run around, if you could run around in it as part of the boss fight, it might make it a bit more interesting. But no, you're on that little shitey piece of land.
Yeah.
You can kind of jump over and go to the slightly larger but equally as shitey piece of land.
Yeah.
And
Easily
the
get
boss,
knocked in.
the boss is just it itself is broken. I played it the other day, and I think that I managed to save the clip on my PlayStation when I was doing, and this was on the remaster. At some point, just like it all went nuts, and the centipede demon ended up in a plane above me on the ceiling, so that it was stomping around and I could just see its feet, and I was like, "All right, it's
Cheese it with arrows.
it's stuck up there." I cheesed it with arrows. It got stuck up there. I cheesed it with arrows. And the camera at that point is just fucking dumb.
Yeah.
You can summon Solaire to help you, but he doesn't do anything. It just makes it more confusing because you don't
He
know
will
what-
often just die in lava.
Yeah, he'll just go and sit in
No,
lava.
but not relative to how much health he's given
Yeah.
the boss by having
No,
a summon.
and it's just like, it feels like
Broken.
it's completely broken.
Ugly
It
bosses are broken.
does not need to be there. I would much rather you go into that room and you find the orange shard ring on the floor, and then you can run through the area. It feels just like, oh, we need to give them a reason to get this ring to progress.
Yeah.
Centipede.
It's and the fact that you can see the centipede demon, like it'd be cool because you can see it as you're going down. If you could like shoot arrows at it and do damage to it beforehand.
I thought that when I replayed that, I was like, I swear that's the centipede demon, because I've forgotten his entrance. I was like, what if I shoot him? Maybe if something happens, like, oh, nothing happens. Like, oh, maybe it's not him. And then the cutscene happens when you fight him. It's like, yeah, you're right. You feel like you should, as
it feels
a way
like
of triggering something early, or there's just a bit more depth to it than just giant feet that you see run.
like if you know that it's there, why not like be able to kill it, and then it like falls down, and then there's the orange shard ring waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like that just feels like a nice workaround for what is an ugly boss.
Yeah.
And my honourable mention for that as well goes along with it of Fire Sage,
Yeah.
because it's the same boss 3 times.
Yeah.
It's a reskin.
It's just fiery.
And I
It's-
think it's the worst of the reskins.
Agreed.
It's Fire Sage. It's going. Oh, how are we going to make this one more difficult? Fucking roots everywhere. Brilliant. And the fact that you've got Asylum Demon, which is that on easy mode. You've got the version of it where it's underneath the Asylum. I can't remember if that's got a different name. Stray Demon.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
Same moves, just stronger.
Just stronger. It's got a little bit of like it can do the AoE explosion.
Yeah.
And then Fire Sage is just the same, but they put fire effect on it. It feels lazy and dumb.
And it's those bosses tying into the centipede demon and everything feel unnecessary for how close they are together.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, we're just going through this fog gate and we do this, and then we go down the steps and it's like, oh, there's another fog gate. What, I'm doing another boss straight away. It's like, well, something's not right here. Then there should be, one or the other, or there should be a bit more, a better kind of route to it, or like there's.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just a boss rush, and they're not good bosses to be, doing a boss rush of.
Or if you could shoot Centipede Demon off the side, then you wouldn't have to do the second boss. Like,
Yeah.
it just, the pacings are all off.
And then you go into Bed of Chaos, so
Yeah.
I'm getting a theme here for the ugly part of the game.
And I mean,
dost thou agree, Diamond?
Yeah, I agree strongly.
And what more?
I
How
think
about thee?
Bed of Chaos, I think is one I definitely expected us to be talking about. It's the most obvious, like, big boss that's just big old pile of balls. But Fire
Big old pile of balls,
Sage
great.
That would have been a
is
better
one
boss.
of my most hated.
Yeah.
It's shit, and I've seen it before. And Centipede Demon feels like such a waste because it's a really shitty boss. But there's part of me that wants to go like, well, at least it's not another Fire Sage. It's not another demon.
it's not the fourth one.
Yeah.
We haven't had any centipedes up until... But that's the thing, like, if you had the
What
centipede
is this
boss, that
game
could be
missing?
quite cool.
Yeah, but at least with that one, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
So you can just get
Yeah,
it
no,
over
that's
with.
true.
It's just
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
a good fight. It's just a waste of a boss.
Yeah.
But I hate the Fire Sage. I mean, the Fire Sage was going to be my top choice. I did have one other thing I wanted to mention. It's not on the same level as those other ones, but I would really like the Hydra to be more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's one of those ones where it's like, okay, you just have to chop all the heads off, but just the way that plays
Is that a
out.
boss?
Well,
No, it's like
not
a
really.
Mini boss. It doesn't have the
Yeah.
health bar.
It feels like a mini boss,
Yeah.
but it's just like it always feels like you're not really sure if you're going to hit it or not.
Yeah.
And I always feel like it's one of those ones that makes you feel like you're playing a game the most because it looks a bit shitty the way that their heads go into the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean.
I'm not going to lie, I do have a very distinct memory of the first time I played Dark Souls being terrified by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going
It's
into
very cool.
Dark Root Basement for the first time.
Running past it, being like, no.
Yeah, like if one of those big magic attack water slashers hit me, that's an instant kill for me at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to go near this guy. Like, I don't know what's down there, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And I only went back and fought him properly a lot later in the game. Obviously, once you work out, it's just like a twofold thing. You know, dodge the splashes to get in close, and then it will always do the same head movements.
Yeah.
So just bide your time, get the placement, and one by one, don't fall off the ledge. And that's what's disappointing to me the second time, and it's, you know, near enough the same, other than different terrain and can jump from side to side. But you're right, it does look a little bit like cheap. And
I think it's just a bit disappointing because it is very cool the
It's
first
a really
time you
cool
see it.
thing,
Like,
yeah.
how is this here?
yeah, how am I supposed to kill this thing? Like,
Yeah.
fucking hell, I need a bigger sword. But
Yeah, it's not offensive. It's
No.
just, it would be nice if it was a bit better.
Dark Souls 4, Hydra boss.
Hydra Souls.
Hydra Souls. Make it
Hydra
happen.
Souls.
Yeah.
Any other additional mentions we have for the uglies?
You're looking at my sheet like you've written down something else.
You've written
Well,
every
I
boss.
wanted to know what you thought.
I mean, I wrote this one down, but I'm not entirely sure about this one because my memory of it isn't great. But I just, out of all the ones, I've written Pinwheel because I don't know, just a lot of the other bosses, they're either hard and really like satisfying when you beat them, or they have something that just I don't remember much about Pinwheel. Like I just didn't get much out of that fight personally.
You almost don't realise it's a boss.
Well, yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it is. It just, it lacks something that makes it as special as a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
Either you get down there, it's the first place that you go is down in the catacombs, like
Ooh.
Mr. Valentine there.
Yeah.
Oh my
And it's-
god! Like when I started this second playthrough, I was like, I'm just gonna go and have a go at the skeletons first, just to sort of. And I was like,
Nope.
no.
No, it's you. So you either go down that far and it's unfathomably hard, it's silly, it's bad, or you go down there like when you're appropriately leveled and it's too easy.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you don't have kind of a point where there's a nice challenge level. It just
maybe.
feels like and
given the intersection it features between the first part of the catacombs and then the Tomb of the Giants,
Yeah.
two very difficult areas for, you know, enemies and lighting and all sorts of things. That does not feel, it's not a good reflection of the point that you should be fighting that boss in. Pinwheels feels like something you should do within the first like 3 or 4 bosses.
Yeah.
Well,
especially because he gives you the right of kindling, which feels like
That's a big deal.
It's a really big deal to get the right of kindling, because then you can, when you've got the bosses that you're struggling with, you can have just that little bit more Estus.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that, but dumb.
Bullshit.
Dumb.
And he's an ugly motherfucker.
Dumb
That's,
soul.
that's how I got on my ugly list.
Damn.
that's just fine.
I mean, also just an honourable mention for an ugly boss, the Gaping Dragon. Oh, that
I
one's gross
fucking
looking.
love the gaping
Tiny
dragon.
little face.
I
It's
think
I love
fucking
it, but it is
beautiful.
fucking,
It's fucking ugly.
No, beautiful.
Why don't you marry it?
I mean, it's
I can't.
Give it some kisses on its little
tiny
It's
little
got-
face on the
it's
end.
got-
yeah,
cute
Super
little
Mario movie.
He's got that beautiful, like, pearlescent sheen to his scales. It's all rainbowy.
Robin is in love with
And
the Dragon.
No way to talk about it.
The gaping dragon. Jesus
oh,
Christ.
gross.
No.
Yeah, no, I like it. I was being silly. It's
The
a really cool boss
Gaping
design.
Dragon is
I enjoyed
one of
that
my
one.
favourite monster designs in anything.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
wish there
fun.
was more into the lore of why it looks like that and how why it's so horrible, and I wish we saw more of those horrible things.
More gapes.
More gaping.
Dark Souls 4, The Gapening.
It's
Hydra Gape.
happening. Make it happen, Miyazaki.
Souls.
Hydra gate.
Well, I think we've covered actually pretty much most of the bosses just as part of that chat. But it's interesting, obviously, to hear everybody's opinions on it, but also that there's such a range that, you know, obviously there's a lot to Dark Souls, but the fact that bosses is such a strong part of that. It's a game that does bosses. Yeah, well,
It does bosses
good,
well.
good, bad, and terrible.
We've
but
talked a lot about some bad and dodgy ones, but there are so many really good ones.
Yeah.
Like the hit to miss ratio is
Yes.
extremely good.
yeah, you know, a game can't be perfect,
I mean, very few,
but Dark Souls is very close.
very few bosses do the same emotional journey that you go through when fighting
Yeah.
Sith.
I was literally about to mention that one as one I did not enjoy for obvious reasons.
Shout out to our homie.
But yeah, that's so like it's beautiful, and the fact that you get to the end of the boss and he just stops attacking you, just limps around.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible. But it tells the story of it's a wild animal fighter. It's clever. Like
but the gaping dragon's ugly.
yeah, but
We're like puppies.
Sif's got such nice soft fur.
Not
He's
cool crocodile beasts.
still not got a weird crocodile
Crocodile
neck.
beasts.
Y'all are racist.
Yeah. All right.
And on that racist note, that was our Dark
Oh,
Souls
he's
discussion.
wrapping it up. I thought he was just going to say something horrible.
Thank you, one and all, for listening to the Game Chaps Chat, our however often podcast, because we don't have a strict schedule for it. But
But anything.
yeah, we've done
rare
we've done,
treat for
we've
you
done a couple of
listeners.
these. We chat about this is Dark Souls bosses. We chat about lots of other things. So check out some of those other podcasts. Give us a like if you enjoy. Please share it, but also share your experience. Write in the comments below. Who's your favourite boss? Who's your prettiest boss?
More importantly.
That's going to be the next topic. Yeah, please follow us on social media. Our Facebooks, our Instagram, and our Twitter accounts are all in the description below.
Priscilla's the prettiest boss.
Waifu!
Invisible.
Shout out
But Kraylag's hot.
And until next time, bye.
Bye.